can't say that I'm huge into idol anime, though I've watched quite a few Love Live episodes in the past, but I can see the appeal. Sometimes you don't want something that's too serious. Sometimes you just want something a little more light and wholesome, not to mention something with some really good bops. And it's really wholesome to watch characters work towards their dreams and achieve them, along with making friends along the way. Last year, Oshi no Ko made the rounds as being a cynical look into the idol industry, but it's considered more as an idol-related drama with supernatural elements than a traditional idol anime. When people think of a traditional idol anime, they usually think of the Love Live or Idol Master series, so it's fair to say that there probably are some really good idol anime buried under them, but I wasn't interested in quality this time round. Instead, I sorted my anime list by score and scrolled down to find the lowest rated idol anime, $1 Million with a score of 4.77. The story follows a girl called Tsuko, who is a hikikomori, aka a NEET, who loves idols. One day she goes to the mall and witnesses a local idol group called Itorio. She strongly dislikes the rowdy nature of all the wotas, aka idol otakus, watching, and looks down on them, believing they're not true idol fans, instead just looking for an excuse to go wild. She overhears one of the more popular fans, Rui-san, forgive me, I'm going to be mispronouncing his name a lot, saying that he's planning to stop going to Itorio concerts because he believes that they're not going to last very long. Rui is known as a Daradema Daisuki, or a DD. Daradema Daisuki, which roughly translates to I love everyone, are idol otakus who do not have a favorite member or group, rather they just enjoy idols in general, and tend to flit around different ones. Tsuko really hates DDs, as she believes that they're disloyal, and accuses them of not being true fans. In order to spite Rui-san, she decides to promote Itorio on her popular idol blog, and the group starts to gain popularity. Meanwhile, Rui has moved on to an underground idol called Mariko, who has more of a rock aesthetic. He then learns how Tsuko's blog has been helping Itorio rise to popularity. Rui really hates Tsuko's blog, as back before he became a DD, he was obsessed with this one idol called Hinami. He would go to Hinami's concerts, buy all her merch, and even wrote her a letter. That was until Tsuko wrote about her in her blog, which made Hinami's popularity skyrocket into her becoming a major idol set to debut in a big agency. Rui had initially felt upset about Hinami's sudden claim to fame, as he could no longer see her, until he came across a TV interview with her, where she talked about how her favorite fan, aka him, had written her a letter back when she was still unknown, and how touched she had been. Rui then realizes that while Tsuko has the power to make any idol popular through blogging, he has the power to support and encourage them to pursue their dreams, and decides to help Mariko achieve her dream of going major. In other words, Itorio and Mariko become rivals like Tsuko and Ryu. This anime isn't a traditional idol anime, so to speak. Rather, it's an anime about idol culture and the rivalry between two types of fans, the ones that stay at home and do their idol-related activities online, and the ones that show up to concerts and interact with the talents. We also get some commentary about the differences between local idols and underground ones. Local idols like Itorio exist to increase popularity and tourism in rural areas, and often receive financial backing from the communities they represent, while underground idols are represented by small independent agencies that often do not have a lot of money for their talents, which often leads to the talents having to pay for their own stuff. This show is just full of interesting insights into the idol industry, and I am in love with this premise, which makes it such a shame that the show appears to have been run on a shoestring budget. Even with the 4-minute average episode length, there are moments with zero animation. There are two different openings, one that is supposed to be a performance with Itorio, and the other with Mariko. Both the songs used are decent, but the CGI they use to animate is less so. For Itorio's version of the opening, the girls start off by stepping in sync really robotically, and if you look closely before that, you can see the models rotate a bit. There are a lot of close-ups so you can see the quality of the models. They're a little lacking. Mariko's was better in some places, worse in others. Her movements are really janky, and it constantly looks like she's about to sprain her right arm. Which is a shame because it actually has some golden moments with the camera work and what I think are transitions to 2D. The animations in both of the opening sequences do get reused within the show itself, and the fact that the episodes are only 4 minutes long hinders the story with it ending on Mariko announcing that she wants to go major to her fans, and we, the audience, are left on the cliffhanger of, oh, who will win? Spoiler alert, we aren't going to tell you. I'm guessing the show didn't have enough budget to make it through the whole story, nor did they care to try. From what I can tell, the $1 Million manga doesn't appear to be that popular, so they probably just made it for the sake of beefing up the studio's portfolio. The show's creation just came off as an afterthought more than anything. Both the premise and the studio's botched attempt to bring it to life intrigued me enough to look for the manga online, to see whether the story had been doomed to fail from the start, or was it a hidden gem that had the misfortune of being handled by a studio that didn't see it as such. But then I ran into a problem. the Million Doll manga doesn't appear to be that popular, and while I'm certain there are 6 volumes, only 22 chapters have been scanned, translated, and uploaded in English. And unfortunately, they only go a little further than where the anime had left off. From what I've read, it's a little more in-depth than the anime had been, and talked a little more about idol culture, which I felt was one of the show's key strengths. We also get to learn more about Marika's struggles as an underground idol, and how she has to compete with girls from established agencies. They also introduce a subplot where there's this one guy who is a wota who likes to hang out with this girl who is also a wota, but she likes this other guy who is also a wota, and that guy is a serial flirter who gives the first guy his phone because he's sick of having to respond to text messages from girls he wants to ghost. Guy number 1 then starts to text with this one girl who is a big Itorio fan, and that's as far as the translated chapters allow me to go. For some reason, the anime had left out Tsuko's backstory, which explains so much about her character and motivations in the anime. You see, Tsuko was bullied during her school years, which led to her being distrustful of others and having social anxiety, which is why she's a NEET. The only person who was nice to her was the prettiest girl in class, who eventually got scouted to be an idol and left school. Tsuko tried to find her on the internet and stumbled across Hinami, who looked similar to her, and started to like her music, and the rest is history. We do get to see the bullying aspect in the anime, but nothing about the girl, which, combined with the abrupt ending, makes me think that the studio had intended to make a second season, but never got to. I don't know why anyone would want a second season, because the first was so poorly mishandled. It's not a good idea to condense a long-form story into 40 minutes. I kind of feel like the studio must have bought the license on a whim and then was like, oh, I guess we have to do something with it now. I'm really on the fence of whether I should recommend the manga or not, because like I said, it's a really good premise and has some interesting insights into idol culture, but there's only 22 chapters available online in English, and I feel like it's too early in the story to know if it's good or not. In short, Million Doll is an interesting series concept-wise, but it fails on delivery. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. See you next time!